So it's more than just checking the facts. That's obviously important, but I wanted to talk about not misinformation 101, but misinformation the second level, which might be that we latch onto whatever interpretation we want to be true.
And you talk about your own personal experience, don't you, during your stint as a banker, when you had to put through a presentation overnight.
Yeah, so that's a great example. I appreciate you bringing it up. So let me explain the example. So when I was a junior investment banker at Morgan Stanley, so you would pitch an idea, and at the end, you'd always have a section called Morgan Stanley credentials, so explaining why they should do it with Morgan Stanley, not one of our competitors. And they always have league tables, and those league tables will show Morgan Stanley was number one in NA, mergers and acquisitions. And Morgan Stanley would always be number one. Why? Because if we came up with a league table where Morgan Stanley was not number one, your boss would say, well, can you redo this? Can you look at the past 5 years, not the past 3 years? Or can you look at global deals, not just European deals? Or could you exclude deals below 100 million in value? So the actual table that we end up presenting is completely 100% accurate. We haven't made up the data. Those tables are absolutely right given the last 5 years and given looking at global deals. But it's misleading because there's lots of other constellations where you were not number one. And so this is really important because, again, this suggests that it goes beyond just checking the facts. And also it means that misinformation is quite difficult to police. So often people think, well, shouldn't the government prosecute people for giving misinformation? But we were not giving any misinformation. That what we were presenting was 100% accurate, but what we were not presenting were all of the different configurations. So again, this means that given we can't rely on other people like the government to prevent misinformation, what we need is the reader themselves to ask questions. So the goal of the book is to empower the reader and give you questions to ask yourself. So if somebody shows you a league table, then ask, well, what have you measured this over the past 5 years or the past 2 years? Or what have you looked globally rather than just in Europe? So simple questions. And again, these are not questions about standard errors or statistical pyrotechnics. These are simple common sense questions that anybody can ask about something which is important to them where they're given some information.